Ethan Cole sat alone at a small restaurant in the heart of Maplewood, a quiet town he'd never visited before. The place was cozy, with soft lighting and the smell of fresh bread filling the air. But Ethan barely noticed. His mind was elsewhere, on the one thing that had haunted him for 10 long years. His missing daughter, Lily. Every lead he'd followed had ended in disappointment. Every private investigator he hired came back empty-handed. His ex-wife, Sarah, had taken Lily and disappeared after a bitter custody battle, leaving Ethan with nothing but faded photos and sleepless nights. The waitress approached his table, holding a notepad and smiling politely. "Can I get you anything else, sir?" she asked. Ethan glanced up, about to say no, when something caught his eye. A faint scar on her forearm. It was small, barely noticeable, but it sent a jolt through him. He remembered that scar. When Lily was 6, she fell off her bike and scraped her arm. He'd cleaned the wound himself and kissed it better, promising her it would heal into a superhero mark. His heart raced as he studied the young woman in front of him. She looked older, of course. Lily would be 16 now, but there was something familiar about her eyes, the curve of her smile. "Are you okay, sir?" the waitress asked, looking concerned. Yes, I'm fine," Ethan stammered. "What's your name?" "Emily," she replied, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Ethan nodded slowly, trying to steady his breathing. Could it really be her? Or was he letting his desperation cloud his judgment? "I'll take the check," he said finally, his voice tight with emotion. As Emily walked away, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that fate had just handed him a second chance. Ethan's hands trembled as he paid the bill, his mind racing. He needed to know more. Was this girl truly his daughter? After leaving the restaurant, he waited outside in his car, watching as Emily exited through the back door after her shift ended. "Excuse me," he called out as she walked toward a beat-up bicycle chained to a pole. She turned, startled. "Yes, I wanted to ask you something," Ethan said, stepping closer. "Do you mind if we talk for a moment?" Emily hesitated but nodded. "Sure. What's this about?" Ethan took a deep breath. "You have a scar on your arm. How did you get it?" Her brow furrowed as she glanced at the faint mark on her forearm. "I don't really remember. My mom said I got it when I was little, but she never told me how." Ethan's heart pounded. This couldn't be a coincidence. "What's your full name?" he asked gently. "Emily Carter," she replied. "And where are you from?" "We moved around a lot," she said with a shrug. "But my mom passed away last year, so I've been living here since then." Ethan swallowed hard, trying to keep his emotions in check. "Can I show you something?" he asked, pulling out his wallet. From it, he retrieved an old photo of Lily as a child, smiling brightly, holding a stuffed bunny, and wearing a sundress. Emily stared at the picture, her expression unreadable. "Why do you have this?" "That's my daughter," Ethan explained, his voice thick with emotion. "Her name is Lily Cole. She disappeared 10 years ago with her mother. I think you might be her." Emily blinked, taken aback. "That's impossible," she said firmly. "My name is Emily. My mom always told me." "She lied," Ethan interrupted softly. "Your mother and I were married once. We had a custody battle and she took you away. I've been looking for you ever since." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as confusion and doubt clouded her face. "I don't remember any of that," she whispered. I can't even remember much of my childhood. There was an accident, a car crash, and after that, everything feels blurry." Ethan reached out cautiously, placing a hand on her shoulder. "I understand if you're scared or unsure, but please, let me help you figure this out. You deserve to know the truth about who you are." For a long moment, Emily didn't respond. Then finally she nodded. "Okay," she said quietly, "but I need time to process all this." As they parted ways, Ethan felt a glimmer of hope for the first time in years. Finding Lily wasn't enough. He had to earn her trust and prove that he was still her father. Over the next few days, Ethan and Emily, Lily, spent more time together. At first, she was hesitant, unsure of how to feel about this man claiming to be her father. But Ethan patiently shared stories from her childhood, showing her mementos he'd kept, a baby blanket, drawings she'd made as a child, and even a video of her 5th birthday party. "This was your favorite song," Ethan said one afternoon, playing a soft melody on his phone. "You used to dance around the living room whenever it came on." Lily listened quietly, tears brimming in her eyes. She didn't remember any of it, but deep down, something felt familiar, like a distant echo of a life she couldn't quite recall. "I want to believe you," she admitted one evening as they sat in a park overlooking the town. "But why did Mom take me away? Why didn't you find me sooner?" Ethan sighed, guilt weighing heavily on him. "Your mom and we weren't happy together. Our marriage fell apart, and when she left with you, I tried everything to get you back. But she hid you well. I hired investigators, searched everywhere, but no one could find you. By the time I realized where you might be, it was too late. And now," Lily asked softly, "what happens now?" "We start over," Ethan replied firmly. "I know I can't erase the past, but I want to be part of your life again, if you'll let me." Lily nodded slowly, still uncertain but willing to give him a chance. For the first time in years, Ethan felt like he had a purpose again. But not everything was going smoothly. As they grew closer, Ethan began noticing strange things. Phone calls that cut off abruptly, unfamiliar cars parked outside his house, and an unsettling feeling that someone was watching them. One night, as he tucked away some of Lily's old belongings, he found a note slipped under his door. It was typed, with no signature. "Stay away from her. You're not welcome in her life anymore." Ethan's blood ran cold. Who would send this? And why were they trying to keep him apart from his daughter? When Lily visited the next day, Ethan debated whether to tell her about the note. He didn't want to scare her, but he also knew he couldn't ignore the threat. "Someone doesn't want us to reconnect," he told her cautiously. "But I won't let anything or anyone come between us again." Lily frowned, worry flickering across her face. "Do you think it's Mom's doing? Maybe she had enemies or—" "I don't know," Ethan admitted. "But I promise you, I'll protect you, no matter what." Though reassured by his words, Lily couldn't shake the unease growing inside her. Their reunion was supposed to bring closure, not danger. Yet here they were, caught in a web of secrets neither of them fully understood. As weeks turned into months, Ethan and Lily worked hard to rebuild their relationship. They spent hours talking about her life after the accident, his struggles during the years they were apart, and the dreams they both still carried. Slowly but surely, Lily began to trust him again. Ethan introduced her to small joys she might have forgotten. Weekend trips to art galleries, cooking meals together, and long walks through the countryside near his home. He even encouraged her to draw again, something she hadn't done since childhood. "You're so talented," Ethan said one evening as he watched her sketch a portrait of the two of them sitting by the fireplace. "You used to love drawing when you were little." Lily smiled faintly, shading in the lines of the picture. "It feels familiar," she admitted. "Like maybe I'm remembering pieces of who I used to be." But despite their progress, shadows lingered over their newfound bond. The mysterious threats continued. Another note arrived, this time slipped into Ethan's car. "Walk away while you still can." Then came the phone calls, silent except for faint breathing on the other end. And once, when Lily stayed overnight at Ethan's house, someone rang the doorbell late at night and vanished before they could answer. "It's like whoever it is knows everything about us," Lily said nervously one morning as they discussed the incidents over breakfast. "I won't let them scare us," Ethan replied firmly. But privately he was worried. Who could be behind this? And how far would they go to keep him and Lily apart? Determined to uncover the truth, Ethan dug into his past. He thought back to the custody battle, the lawyers, the courtrooms, the bitter arguments. One name kept surfacing in his mind. Victor Kane, a ruthless businessman who had crossed paths with Ethan years ago. Victor had been furious when Ethan outbid him for a lucrative property deal, vowing revenge. Could he have orchestrated Sarah's disappearance? and now be trying to sabotage Ethan's reunion with Lily? Ethan hired a private investigator to look into Victor's activities. Meanwhile, he tried to shield Lily from the danger, though she insisted on helping. "We're in this together," she told him one evening as they pored over old documents and photos. "You've already lost me once. I'm not letting anyone take you away again." Her words filled Ethan with pride and fear. He admired her courage but dreaded putting her in harm's way. Still, having her by his side gave him strength. Together, they pieced together fragments of the past, uncovering connections between Victor and Sarah that hinted at a sinister plot. One breakthrough came when Lily remembered a detail from her childhood. A man who occasionally visited their home, always arguing loudly with her mother. Though hazy, the memory matched descriptions of Victor Kane. "He must have helped Mom hide me," Lily realized, her voice trembling. "But why? What did he gain?" Ethan clenched his fists. "Control. Revenge. Whatever it was, we'll stop him." Though the stakes were high, their determination only grew stronger. For the first time in years, Ethan felt truly alive. Not just fighting for justice, but fighting for family. The investigation into Victor Kane led Ethan and Lily to a shocking discovery. The private investigator uncovered evidence that Victor hadn't just helped Sarah disappear, he had manipulated her, convincing her that Ethan was unfit to raise their daughter. Using forged documents and false accusations, Victor painted Ethan as an abusive, neglectful father in court, ensuring Sarah won full custody. But the worst revelation came when they found recordings of conversations between Victor and Sarah. In one chilling exchange, Victor admitted his plan. "Keep her away from him forever," he said coldly. "Let him suffer for what he did to me." Ethan's hands shook as he listened to the tapes. All these years, he'd blamed himself for losing Lily. He thought it was his fault, that he hadn't fought hard enough or loved well enough. But now he realized the truth. Victor Kane had orchestrated everything, tearing apart his family out of spite. Lily sat beside him, tears streaming down her face. "He ruined our lives," she whispered. "And Mom. She didn't even know she was being used." "We'll expose him," Ethan vowed, his voice firm despite the anger boiling inside him. "He won't get away with this." But Victor wasn't about to let them win without a fight. One night, as Ethan and Lily prepared to meet with the authorities to present their evidence, two men broke into Ethan's house. They ransacked the place, searching for the recordings and documents, but Ethan had already hidden them in a secure location. When Lily arrived home later that evening, she found Ethan shaken but unharmed. "They're getting desperate," he told her grimly. "Victor knows we're onto him. What do we do now?" Lily asked, clutching his arm tightly. "We finish this," Ethan replied. "Tomorrow we go public. No more hiding, no more fear." The next morning, Ethan contacted a trusted journalist named Claire Harper, who specialized in exposing corruption. Together, they arranged a press conference where Ethan and Lily would reveal Victor's crimes to the world. As they stood backstage before the event, Lily turned to Ethan. "Are you ready for this?" she asked nervously. "I've waited 10 years for this moment," Ethan said, squeezing her hand. "We'll face whatever comes next together." When they stepped onto the stage, cameras flashing and reporters shouting questions, Ethan took a deep breath. Holding up the recordings and documents, he began to speak. "For 10 years, I've searched for my daughter, believing I'd failed her," he said, his voice steady. "But today, I stand here with Lily, not just as her father, but as proof that love can overcome even the darkest schemes." As the evidence against Victor unfolded, the room fell silent. It was clear the tide had turned, but neither Ethan nor Lily knew what price they might pay for confronting such a powerful enemy. The press conference sent shockwaves through the media. Victor Kane's name dominated headlines as details of his manipulation and corruption came to light. Public outrage grew, and law enforcement launched a full-scale investigation into his activities. But Victor wasn't going down without a fight. Within hours of the conference, Ethan received a chilling phone call. "You think you've won?" Victor sneered. "This isn't over. You'll regret ever crossing me." Ethan hung up, his jaw clenched. He knew Victor was dangerous, But he refused to back down, not when he finally had Lily by his side. To protect her, Ethan arranged for temporary security measures, including guards stationed outside their home and discreet surveillance at Lily's school. Despite the precautions, the threat loomed large, casting a shadow over their newfound happiness. One evening, as they sat together in Ethan's study reviewing the case against Victor, Lily spoke up. "What if we're missing something?" she asked quietly. "Something that could end this once and for all?" Her words sparked an idea. Digging deeper into Sarah's belongings, which Lily had kept after her death, they found a hidden journal. Inside were detailed entries about Sarah's interactions with Victor, how he pressured her, isolated her, and manipulated her fears. The final entry revealed a crucial detail. Victor had recorded every interaction, believing it would give him leverage over Ethan if needed. "If those recordings exist, they'll destroy him," Ethan said, determination flashing in his eyes. With Claire Harper's help, they traced the location of Victor's private vault, a heavily guarded storage facility where he kept sensitive materials. Under the cover of night, Ethan and Lily worked with authorities to retrieve the evidence legally, ensuring Victor couldn't wriggle free on a technicality. When the recordings were released, they painted an undeniable picture of Victor's greed and cruelty. His empire crumbled overnight, and he was arrested on multiple charges, including fraud, extortion, and conspiracy. Finally, justice was served. With Victor Kane behind bars, Ethan and Lily could finally breathe easy. The weight of fear and uncertainty that had haunted them for so long was lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and hope for the future. Lily began to embrace her identity fully, no longer torn between the life she'd known and the one she was rediscovering. She started calling herself Lily again, reclaiming the name she'd lost along with her memories. Her sketches became brighter, filled with scenes of laughter, family, and new beginnings, a reflection of the healing taking place within her heart. For Ethan, having Lily back in his life gave him a second chance, not just as a father, but as a person. He realized how much he'd focused on work and success after losing her, neglecting the importance of love and connection. Now, their bond reminded him what truly mattered. One afternoon, as they stood together in the park where they'd first begun rebuilding their relationship, Lily handed Ethan a drawing. It was of the two of them, smiling, holding hands, with the words, "Forever my dad," written at the bottom. Tears welled up in Ethan's eyes as he hugged her tightly. "Thank you," he whispered, "for coming back into my life." "I should thank you," Lily replied, smiling through her own tears. "You never gave up on me, even when I didn't know who I was." As they walked home together under the golden sunlight, Ethan felt a profound sense of gratitude. They had faced unimaginable challenges, but their love for each other had triumphed over all obstacles. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy. They still had wounds to heal and memories to rebuild, but they were ready to face it together. After years of loss and longing, Ethan and Lily had found their way back to each other, and this time nothing would tear them apart.